will meet the needs of economic transformation that's needed, and it will reduce emissions compared to forcing us to go to places like China to fund our investments. So what can be done? I mean, if the ECAs could lean back in rather than leaning out, we don't have access to European development type funds that were mentioned before. We do have that, by the way, for carbon capture and storage. We can access this excellent development funds in Europe to push forward carbon capture and storage, which I think is critical for how you can engage with you.
And luckily, the green transition, it's a topic that we will dive into in our panel number 2 after the break.
And absolutely needed as well, by the way. So.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that one. We have another question here.
Good morning. My name is Mads Kjær, and you know, the analogies of the air we breathe, sometimes we forget, and sometimes we forget all the benefits from that. In Africa, we cannot move goods, people, capital, services over borders, and this is actually to do to create its own inner market.
Minister Bakari, I think that one, it's on you.
You know, I used to say that I'm not a real diplomat investment before, so I this morning, so I will do diplomacy. You are completely right, and yesterday with a few of my colleagues, my brother from Tanzania, we was talking about this. We, as an African, we have to work on this. It doesn't make sense that, and let me controversial, it doesn't make sense that it's easier for someone who holds an European passport to travel across Africa than for an African. It's a complete nonsense. And we have to work on it. It's our duty. You started with Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement. There is few things we have to discuss, because when you look at European Union, you didn't create European Union from scratch. It's not overnight. You start by block, you know. So we are on this journey. It's definitely something we have to work on in order to unleash the potential of our continent. We know that we have to deliver on it. We have the clear mandate from our political leaders, and now we have to deliver on it. But we have also to build infrastructure, because moving goods, for example, it's mainly a question of infrastructure, right? I'm looking at my sister from Ghana. Between Abidjan and Lagos, we are talking about 1,000 kilometers. You know, these roads concentrate close to 75% of the GDP of West Africa. But we are struggling to deliver these years now. So our leaders, they are trying to tackle this, and I agree with you that if we want to create this single market, to have the full potential of African continent, we have to work on it. Road, railways, airlines, because it's so difficult to travel across the continent, you know. To move from West Africa to East Africa, sometime, you know, Central Africa, you have to come to Europe. It doesn't make sense. So, yeah, we have to work on it in order to deliver, the potential of the continent. Definitely.
Thank you very much, Minister. As I emphasized a couple of times today, the idea to host this business meeting is to move from debate into actual action. So, leaving this meeting today, what will you do differently, Mr. Brett?
Well, it's the start of a day of a lot of very interesting conversations. And so I'm certainly glad to see all of the intellectual horsepower that has been collected here in this room. And I think one thing I'm taking away in both the preparations for this event and taking part today is the power of the public-private partnerships that were mentioned by Lars before. And so I think we need to find ways to lead with investment, to find ways to engage with our governments at when there's government-to-government meetings, that there is business present as well, and to look for those opportunities.
Mrs. Wagao?
Thank you. I think the biggest thing where we can look at is the power of private sector has in terms of growth. So I think the biggest thing that will be different is to have more involvement from the private sector. As the Minister said, the government can only do so much and is doing so much in the aspect of improving infrastructure. So we need more involvement from the private sector, particularly from the Nordic countries.
Mrs. Pontoppidan?
Well, we actually have high hopes. I mean, we advisor to the Global Gateway in Europe. We will be present at the CEO Forum in Rwanda in a few weeks. So we are there in all these forums to learn and to give our view on especially infrastructure. I mean, our whole vision and purpose is to enable trade. So it's right up our alley. We are a large actor in West Africa, but we are looking at East Africa, we are looking at South Africa.
Thank you. Minister Bakari?
Thank you. I think, as a takeaway for me, definitely I think there's a huge potential, to attract investment from Nordic countries, and especially Denmark. And I already told my team that we have to spend more time here, probably in this building with Danish industries. And maybe, hopefully, next year we will have 1, 2, 3 Danish industry already investing in Benin. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Rasmussen?
Well, you ask what we will do differently. Yeah. And perhaps the answer is everything or nothing. I mean,
or something in between.
Nothing meaning that, we know what to do. And I think we are doing a lot. But everything in the sense that we need to do it faster and with more dedication. And that is what this is all about. That is why we are hosting this meeting. That is why we have decided to spend political energy in a new holistic strategy towards Africa. I don't think we have to invent a lot. I just think we have to, be more dedicated, be more precise, be more concrete, and there's a lot of takeaways, and you can't limit it down to just one thing we need to do. We need to do a lot on different areas.
Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, give this great panel a big hand. I do think we need some coffee and pastries right now, so we'll have a short 15-minute break. Please, for my sake, be back at time.